Running. Let's see if we're running. Yep, we're running. Kick ass. Well, oh shit. I'm gonna sort these guys out later because they're a little stuck together. There we go. I can say other words than I swear. It's not like I am Josh or something. Alright, here we go. Oh! I 3D printed all this out. I wanted some really cool terrain for Adeptus Titanicus or Battletech. Some like hexless stuff. I've been thinking about how to do single player Battletech on the channel. And I think Alpha Strike would probably be better for that, just because it's less bookkeeping. I think that'll be easier to manage. So I 3D printed out myself a bunch of stuff that I had picked up from my mini factory. So I do not remember the name of the company that made these. If anyone really wants to know it, shoot me a message and I can find it for you. But they were all pretty cheap, like sets. So like you get a bunch of buildings for like $5 or something, which is super mega cheap. And they actually are scaled way larger than how I printed them. So I printed them, I think it's something like 50% their size, just because I felt like it fit Adeptus Titanicus a little bit better. But they're actually way scaled, way bigger than this. Which is pretty cool. So if you want just like massive buildings and stuff, this is awesome for it. So I think they're scaled so they can be used for 15 mil. But Adeptus Titanicus and Battletech are 6 mil. So I decided to scale them down a little to what I felt fit a little bit better. So for example, like there's a door, right? There's a door like right there, right? I feel like it fits the like what should be like a gigantic hatch on that a little bit better. You know, I feel like that fits a little better, so I scaled them down. I think they're at like 50%. So I did screw up some of them. Namely, the bottoms of some of them are a little. Some of them are a little like deformed. Like you can see this one cracked. I'm gonna have to fix that with some glue. And that's just because of how I cured them. So some of these are busted because of how I cured them, but some of them came out fantastic. Like this one is just. This one's just a dream, like an absolute dream. Yeah, they're just phenomenal. Even this one, the bottom's a little bent out. That's just because, honestly, doing this terrain taught me how to cure properly. Apparently, I've been doing it wrong this entire time. So some of them I had to hit with a sander so that they'll sit flat. But most of them aren't that bad. A couple of them have drain issues. Just because like I had, they were still like leaking, I guess. A couple of them were. So a couple of them have drain issues. But it's only like I don't know, like one or two of them that do. But so you can see like this one split. That's just because of how they were curing, right? Really, on the battlefield, you won't notice that, but just something to keep in mind. But yeah, so there's one of the drain issues where one leaked some. Oh, showing the wrong camera. This is one of the drain issues where one of the other pieces leaked some resin on it, and then it cured just because I was sort of blind, just chucking them in there for too long. So what I was doing is on one side alone, I was curing them too long. So it was actually deforming the other sides. What you should do is do small batches of curing, rotate, small batch of curing, rotate, small batch of curing, rotate, like that. That's what you really should do with these. or really anything apparently. So I've been curing wrong this entire time. And I learned, and now I can do it better for the next pieces. So I want to show off a couple of these specifically because they're really neat. Some of them still have water in them because I was washing them yesterday after I sanded them. So there we go. All right. So this one is really cool. This one's called the Hive Tower on my mini factory. So you get these 4 base pieces like this, and they fit together pretty much however you want. And in the set, you actually get 2 different versions of each one of these bases. Right, and you can see how tight they're supposed to fit together, right? So like, if I hadn't messed them up, they'd all fit this tight together. But I screwed up 2 of them, so you can see there's going to be a little bit of a gap in there, right? Which is going to be a little bit of a problem. So we can probably minimize that a little by redoing how they sit. So like this should just put the gap on 1 spot or 2 spots. Yeah. See, we just have the gap on the 1 spot there. That's fine. Alright, so just the one side there is screwed up, but everything else is pretty good. And then this, all this paint's still a little tacky, actually. We might actually not be painting this today. And then that goes on that to make this like gigantic tower. So to show how big it is, here is a Warlord Titan. Standing next to it. Yeah, so that's a Warlord Titan right there. So this thing is bigger than a Warlord Titan, printed at, hello! This is printed at 50% size, right? Or some amount damn near 50%. So it just makes a really cool, like, spectacle piece, right? It has a really nice big footprint for the table. I do think I want to print out like 2 more of these for like my size table here. Because I know when I'm going to be playing Adeptus Titanicus, I'm going to be playing on a very small table. So I want to have a lot of like terrain and stuff to kind of counter that. So you can see how big it is. It's really nice. So like if we grab this boy here, right? You can see it like towers over a Reaver. Like absolutely just towers over him. So you know what? We can show that off better. Boop. There we go. It's a little bit better for size comparisons. So you can see just how big it is, right? So there's that, and there's the Warlord Titan right behind him. Right? So this thing is pretty fucking massive. Now again, I did screw up printing this, right? Because of the way that I cured these. You know, some of them are a little wonky, right? Like the tower's a little crooked. It's a little bent. Honestly, when it's on the table, I don't think it's an issue. Right? I still think it looks awesome. Makes a really cool set piece. It's not a big problem. But some of these like medium-sized buildings, right? Like they're big enough your guys can step over. And then some of these they're not. Right? Like this is a building they'd have to go literally through. Right? You can see the bottom's all wonky from. That's fine. Right? But there's a lot of nice options here. Just so you can make like cool little dense. Let me get this guy out of the way. May not stab him into that other robot. That would be awesome. You can make cool little like dense pieces of blocking terrain. So, for example, like you could take like that building and that building, right? And now you have a neat piece of like terrain they could hide behind, or that can also block line of sight, right? For like smaller mechs, like if you have your little knights here, right? They can easily hide behind that, right? Like this kind of little dense terrain, your knights could just disappear behind it. Hello. Yes, I like the Adeptus Titanicus terrain I've done so far. It's very cool and quite big. I printed out a bunch of these as well. They're just like, I don't know, tubes, like fuel containers or something. Same thing with these kind of like buildings here, right? So all this isn't intended to be like by itself. Like in my brain, you put it together in little clusters like this, and that makes like the bigger piece, right? Right. So like you could have that by itself, and then like maybe you'd have something like this, right? Now you have a wall that they can shoot over, right? And they can maybe walk over parts of it, but like he would have to break through this building to walk over, right? It's a little too big otherwise. But like these, he could get over, you know? And then we have these guys who are just super big and even line of sight blocking for pretty much everything, right? Like this guy couldn't fire his arm guns probably over that. He could fire his missiles over it. Same thing with this guy, right? Like, I would argue he probably couldn't fire anything over this. Right, so you could do like that, and you've got like this nice kind of like thematic wall there. Maybe they could like, you know, and shoot between it. Maybe it'd be kind of cool. Just some cool bits. Yeah, a lot of these like little buildings, and I wanted to use them in like little like street clusters, you know, like that, right? Just so it makes a little bit of terrain that maybe the knights can't get over, and you know, it just makes it sort of more industrial is the wrong word, more like habitated, right? Like everything isn't gigantic structures. And then in addition to that, I do have some of these buildings, which are like Imperium like buildings. They're kind of cool. These were all FDM printed. They're kind of neat. I don't know if I'll use them in conjunction, but I think they're pretty cool. And they're nice, big, just chunky buildings. And then I've got some canned terrain and stuff that I've done as well. So, lots of cool options for when we play Adeptus Titanicus. Or, like, for example, a lot of this terrain is just amazing for Battletech, size-wise. So, like, if I move my Adeptus Titanicus stuff, and let's say, grab this guy, and grab some Battletech stuff I haven't painted yet, right? Like, where'd the mech go, you know? Even like stuff like this, right? Like your guys could get some cover from it, which is pretty darn cool. And you could create a nice like area of denial with these little like clumps. So like, right? Like, you can make like a cool. Right, so like if we did like that, right? You have this area here that like, we'll use this guy. So like, right, you have like kind of avenues for the mech to move around, which is pretty cool, right? With a lot of this like nice small little terrain that can go in and out of and maybe get some cover from. I think that's pretty cool. That's sort of my goal with this terrain, is to give those like sort of roadways, you know, like this guy could get cover pretty much all the way down there, right? And it's pretty cool. So I'm quite happy with the terrain I printed out. And then the big tower is just fucking massive compared to the Battletech stuff. So we set the big tower back up. I'm just gonna glue this thing together. I might give that a little more grind, to be honest, but. Right. Okay. Right, so like it's absolutely fucking huge compared to these guys. Now, printed, if you were to print this at like 150% scale, one, it would be like the size of the fucking table. But two, you probably could actually have mechs stand on these like middle pieces. Because like I said, this is 50% scale. So if you were to do 150% scale, you could probably put mechs like up on here and have them like walk around under the tower and stuff, or like up on these arms and stuff like that. You could probably do that if you were to print it at the bigger scale. Personally, I think some of the details wouldn't make sense then, but that's just me. I do think it makes sense. The details make a little more sense at the smaller scale I have it at. So yeah, so that's all the Adeptus Titanicus terrain that I've been 3D printing on my resin printer. You could easily do these on FDM if your FDM printer could do like really small layer lines. My FDM printer really can't, so I've been doing them all in resin. Plus, I wanted to test out doing resin terrain. Honestly, I mean, I'm not really worried about it breaking. It seems perfectly fine. The little tines and stuff on this, I could see those breaking, but just be a little bit aware of it. It's not a big issue. But so yeah, so that's all the crazy Adeptus Titanicus terrain. As far as 3D printing goes, I also have this whole box of rats here, plus this, which is going to another friend. But yeah, I've got this whole box of rats here, and I've got more rats still on the cooker. So these have been cured, but I'm going to tell my friend they probably need a little bit more time. Just because they're... Still feel like they're a little sticky. Nothing terrible, but like just a little bit. So, yeah. So since a couple of these broke getting them off runners, I went ahead and I printed my friend a whole extra unit. And some rattling guns and all that stuff too. So, printed him 3 units of rattling guns, a whole extra unit of rats, 6 claw lords. So, I hooked him up. I really gotta clean off this thing. It's like super gross. Yeah, that's like super gross. And this is partly from me just learning resin. A lot of this is from things leaking. Like the holes in the bottom, right? Me thinking all the resin's out of there and it's not. And just slapping it on there and stirring to cure it, right? Really, that's not the best way to do it. But we're learning this process as we go, and some things get messed up, but we can fix them. Alright? We can fix them, I believe. So, yeah, so that's a bunch of this. I do want to take a look at painting some of it. Is this one still a little tacky? This one's still a little tacky. How's this one? Okay, he's not bad. We'll do him. I do want to take a little bit of a look at painting some of it, because I want to talk about painting this kind of terrain. Because there's a lot of detail here. There's a lot of detail on this terrain. And the truth is, Right, you can see I'm just like literally throwing in a pile and it's perfectly fine. The truth is you really don't want to paint all of the detail on this terrain. Because if you do, it's going to pull you away from the models on the table, which really should be the main show, right? Your terrain, like if you think about like playing a war game like a play, the terrain is like the stage, right? It's there to accentuate what the actors are doing and to help get you in like the mood for what they're doing. It's not there to be the main show, right? So all my terrain should be less painted and less obvious. Oh yeah, I see that one. You that one cracked. All right, let's grab something else. How about you? What's all the pipes on it? No, you're not tacky, you'll do. Yeah, you can see that one cracked there. That's from me doing the wrong curing. But yeah, you really want it to accentuate what you're doing, not to be the main focus. Okay, so here's one I actually cured correctly, so we'll do this one. You can see there's a ton of detail here, right? You've got walls, you've got windows, you've got this like kind of grating thing, you've got all these pipes and stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick out a couple of the details, right? And then we're pretty much going to call that good. We're just going to pick out a couple of the details, and we're going to sell the idea that this is like pseudo-industrial terrain, and we're going to call that good. So, I don't have a ton of, to be honest, I don't have a ton of plan for this. So we're just kind of going to go as we do. And, yeah, we're just going to sort of figure it out as we run. So, let's see. What color should we make the pipes and stuff? I'm feeling like a copper. Feeling like a copper today. Weapon bronze, purple, gold, 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 gold. What are you? You're silver. True copper. We could also do brass, but I feel like it'd be a little too bright. Bright brass from Game Color is like, or bright bronze from Game Color is like fucking mental. It sparkles like the fucking sun. Alright. So, let's pick some of these pipes out. I sprayed all this stuff yesterday and then brought it in. I guess it got rained on. Alright, so we're just going to pick a little bit of it out. Stuff I guess does. I guess the so I sprayed all this stuff with just like cheap ass spray paint from the hobby shop, not the hobby shop, the like hardware store, local hardware store. Just because it's terrain, right? Like it doesn't need to have extremely tight pigments. I really don't even need to use hobby paint on this, but I do want some cool colors on there. I could use like craft paint on terrain, just because it's not going to have that really fine detail that you need that super fine pigment for. But I want some cool metal colors and stuff, and I don't have hobby paint in those colors. Or I don't have like craft store paint in those colors. You know, and I do want to look like, I don't want to spend like a fucking metric shit ton of time on this. You know, but I still do want it to look nice as well, you know? So like, Our goal is to pick out a couple of details and shoot for that like middle ground between like incandescent sparkling like the fucking sun and just looks nice, you know? So we really don't want it to take away from the luster of our models, you know? But we also don't want the terrain to be so crap that it doesn't sell the battlefield that we're shooting for, you know? You know, the point of terrain is not really like, one, it's a part of the game for cover and blah 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 blah, right? But really, it's about stage setting, right? It's about getting that fluff, that narrative, that idea into your games. That's what it's really about. There we go. Yeah, so we just got some cool ass pipes on there. We're gonna grab something else that has cool pipes too. Paint that. What was this building? You'll do. Yeah, see, we still got some on our palette, so we don't want it to go to waste. But we do want all the terrain to have some similar features, and I think this copper being a repeating feature is going to be nice. Especially with gray-based buildings. I think it'll be very nice. Oh. And just because I've still got some more on the palette, just so we can use it up. Alright. So we got those pipes painted, right? Other big standout features for this are this and then the dome. So I don't want to paint both of those because I want there to be gray popping up somewhere else, but I want to paint one of them. So I can paint like this section here and then leave the dome, or I can paint the dome and leave the rest. I think from a like selling like the color gradient or selling the colors through the piece, I want to paint this middle piece because then I'll have gray and gray instead of just one area of gray and then one area of the other color. So this is some kind of like reinforcement thing, which is kind of cool. So we want to paint that in something. So let's find something to paint it in. I really should use some kind of gunmetal on this, just because that really helps sell like metallic kind of buildings. So this is just gunmetal from Army Painter. Gunmetal is just a really nice color for just meaning metal in general, and it works super good and just implies metal, which is nice. So we'll fill that in, and then then we're going to do a dry brush on this. Just primarily on the gray sections, we're going to do a dry brush. I'm not going to paint all the windows because I think that might be too much detail. Maybe we'll paint them. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see after we do the dry brush how we feel about it. Maybe we'll paint them. I don't know. Alright, so without having a planned color scheme or whatever, we're sort of just going as is. Right? Like, kind of just flying. Nice and easy. No planning this week. Not like last week with the stream extravaganza. Man, I was still recovering from that all week long. I really was. I was like, oh, I was just out of it. Every time I like sat down, I fell asleep. It was crazy. Alright, there's our middle section all painted up. I'm going to put that down and we're going to Since I still got some gunmetal in here, we'll just start doing the same thing on the same building. Over here. Don't really want that paint to go to waste, so... Gonna use it up. You know what? I do think we'll paint the windows. I think they're a nice little detail. And then we'll do our dry brush, and then that's pretty much gonna be it. That little building's gonna be done. I'll probably mix up a wash to hit all this stuff with. Because I really don't want to use like a GW wash or something, because it's gonna get pretty expensive. Maybe I will. I don't know. I'd kind of rather mix up my own wash for it. Make a like nice grunge wash out of some craft paint. But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe I'll just use GW stuff because I've got it and it's easier. And it's only like $2 or $3 more expensive. Alright, so let's paint those windows. Let's do them in... let's do them in shiny blue. It'll be like they're made out of like reflective glass to reflect the sun or something. You know? Now I have to walk you over. Oh man, I tell you, I was up half the night looking at Star Wars STLs because I finished Boba Fett last night and it was amazing. It was so amazing. Like, I literally don't think 10-year-old me could have a TV show that was more targeted at him. Just phenomenal. We painted a little there, but it's okay. We'll just hit it. We'll hit it with a little paint. That'll be fine. You know what? Let's say this middle row here. I bet you that might actually supposed to be windows. That would kind of look cool if it was. So let's paint it like it's windows, right? It's our terrain. We can do what we want. Right, we're gonna say this guy here in the middle. We're gonna say that guy's glass. It also helps sell the blue down at the bottom so we don't have an orphan color. Orphan colors are less important with terrain because you're not looking at the pieces individually, right? You're going to be looking at the entire table of it. So as long as you don't have orphan colors on like every piece and the colors are repeated somewhere, that's all that matters. Right? So there's some blue windows there for that guy. You know, we can take that, right, and we can use it in things like, we want to paint these blue, right? These big, like, hab windows. Just because I'm using up the extra paint, you know? You can hear my fingers sticking to this because the spray paint's still a little tacky. Which is really surprising considering I sprayed this stuff in the afternoon with the spray paint. I thought for sure it would have worked itself out by then. I'm used to like hobby paints drying like instantly. Kind of weird. If you spray with like GW spray paint or an army painter spray paint, it dries like instant. Like, this stuff is still tacky. That's really weird. It wasn't even that humid yesterday. Out here in Hawaii, it's pretty much a perfect day to spray paint like every single day. So some people talk about like back in Maryland, there was very clearly a like priming season, right? Like, if you didn't get all your priming done like before September, like March to September was like the priming time. And if you didn't do your priming and then you were just fucked. Right? And you'd have to figure out a way to do it with airbrush indoors. You literally can't paint outside in the other times with a spray can. But out here in Hawaii, like, you can do it every day. It's amazing. You just be like, oh, I've got a new army. I'm going to go spray them tomorrow. It's really nice. All right. Excuse me. Okay. There's our boys. Right? We got a little overspray with some of the blue, but it's okay. It's not the end of the world. Right? Not the end of the world. So what we're going to do is we're going to load up. We're going to load up a little bit of khaki on these buildings. We're going to break out one of our makeup brush friends. And we're going to give her just a little quick dry brush. A little zip zap zippity zoop of some khaki. That's what we're going to do. I'm going to get some of that off the brush. Go. I'm just going to go over it real quick. And I'm going to totally fuck it up. Go Josh. Because you suck at dry brushing. You apparently have way too much paint on this brush, my friend. There we go. That's much more what I was looking for. It goes from having way too much paint to having no paint at all. Wonderful. Wonderful. Good job, Josh. Showing off those painting skills, buddy. Really showing them off. You're a great painter, bud. So there's not really a lot to dry brush in these areas, so what I'm trying to do is like just sort of lightly catch this so you still get some impressions of the brown without having it actually stick to anything, right? So trying to get like little poots, little like kind of smears of brown here and there, right? And I really screwed that top up, so we're gonna have to just full paint that. Yeah, I really screwed this up, so we're just gonna fully paint this, and this is just gonna be brown now. And that's the glory of terrain. And the painting is much, much, much more chill than like actual models, right? Like I don't have to worry about rebasing this or anything. I'm just gonna be like, oh, the little tip on the dick building is now brown. Right? It's now khaki instead of gray. And it's gonna ruin my color movement through the piece a little, but that's okay. You're not looking at these individually, you're looking at them in total. And that's what matters. At least that's what I tell myself. Right? That's what I tell myself. So the little dick building there. We'll let that roof dry. It's probably going to need more than one coat just because there's like no detail on that at all. Alright, so we'll set that down. We'll do something else in this brown. Neat little building. Well, let's keep dry brushing because I feel like I really fucked that up. So I want to redeem myself with some better dry brushing. Alright, so we'll dry brush some other buildings since we've got a bunch of this brown left. Alright, so we won't do that one. We'll do that one's cool. We'll do this one. So I'm trying to have everything painted and ready to go for next week. because I would like to actually try playing Adeptus Titanicus on the channel next week, on Sunday. See? That's much better. That's what I was trying to go for. It's still not good dry brushing, but it's better than whatever the fuck I did at first there. Jesus. Alright. It's just gonna catch some details and give some visual distinction to the building, which is really all we want, right? We don't want it to be crazy in depth. Even when you're painting GW terrain, right? Like, they've crammed so many details in there. There's this really fine balance of like I'm going to paint all these details versus I'm not, because it'll make the piece look better, right? So like it looks good on that side. This side's still a little tough. It's looking good on that side. So all right, let's go check our boy over here, see how he's doing. Okay, let's check our boy out. Okay, let's you know what, fuck it, we'll hit it with a GW wash just because I've got it. Where's the, there it is. I got some Magrex Earthshade here. We're just gonna hit her real quick. Alright. Get some grime and some goo. That's what we really want. Just a little bit of grime to grab the corners and stuff. Like, trying to pull the wash down along the lines, so we get like a little bit of pseudo edge highlighting. Right. Like I want the wash to pull down at the bottom like it is grime. So we're gonna try not to brush upwards. We're gonna just try to brush downwards and see what we can do with it. Right. There we go. Alright, now we're going to let her sit and dry, and then we'll come back to her in a minute. So, what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to let these just like batch cure, because apparently they are still a little sticky from the spray. So I'm probably going to let the rest of these cure for like the rest of today, maybe tomorrow, and then I'll come back and essentially just batch hit these. Just like hit everything at one time. So like all the dry brushing, all the copper, all the metal, like that, and then all the washes. That's probably what I'm going to do for these, nice and quick. You know, picking out some details like the glass, you know, the pipes here, this thing on the top, you know, that kind of stuff. And try to keep to a similar theme, so maybe all the pipes are copper, all the like metallic extra bits, so like, you know, the glass can be blue, that's going to be copper, this is going to be a metal. Maybe we'll do the one in the middle there, gunmetal as well. right? This stuff up here is going to be all gunmetal, you know, like that. Just to keep the visual like theme of all the buildings going. That's my plan anyway. So, I'll probably do that. So I'm gonna let these finish drying. There's a couple I'm probably gonna have to repair, maybe even throw away. So like that one's really damaged. That one's really damaged. All right. Yeah. But my goal is just to get it all done for next weekend. Maybe we can play some adeptus titanicus. We'll see if we get there. I'm not setting any like major goals for that. Like, we get there if we get there. I kind of really want to paint my Legion stuff, right? I've got Krennic and the Death Troopers and all now. I'm really on a fucking Legion kick. I'm gonna be super honest with you. It's gonna be a miracle if I don't come home with a ton of Legion stuff today, so I have to go to the hobby shop. It's gonna be a fucking miracle. I'm gonna like fortitude and not buy Legion stuff. I'm gonna try really hard not to. I'm really hyped from Boba Fett though. It was so fucking good. So yeah. So I'm probably gonna call it after we take a look at this guy when he's done drying in a couple minutes. I'm probably gonna call it there. Let's take a look at the some of the Adeptus Titanicus stuff. So I think we showed this guy off before. This is my Reaver for my bad guys. He's all magnetized, so he's magnetized there. He's actually magnetized in the middle too, just because I thought it was cool if you could look around. And his top gun's also magnetized. So he's got a bunch of options I can swap in as well. So if I wanted him to have different weapons, he could. He's got a bunch of 3D printed pieces like these spikes. This is a piece from some Chaos guy. So I gave him this cool mohawk. He's got a bunch of cool spikes on there. And he's got some chain. And this is one of my Chaos Warhounds. I love these things. I love the design of them. Right, so again, magnetized in the middle. Right, and then all the arms are magnetized. That's going to be true for all of my Adeptus Titanicus stuff. And then we got some chain and more of those spikes sort of stuck on there. I went for a red to counter the blue. You can see all the stripes are like really like spotty and kind of like torn up. Yeah, I thought that was a cool motif for all the Chaos stuff. For my good guys, when I do their stripe, or my good guys, sorry, in air quotes, Imperium, I'm going to have a lot more like, I don't know, clean looking stripes. So again, magnetized in the middle. Both guns are magnetized. This guy's got cool little bull horns. And he's got the spikes as well. He's got some chain on his legs. He's got some chain hanging down. Got more spikes there. A little more spikes there. Right? Like just the same motif for all of them. And the other guy, that's part of that same unit, is this guy. Who's clearly not done painting yet. But he's all magnetized as well. But he's got the like big monster head, which I just thought was rad as hell. But more spikes, more chains here and there. Just kind of keeping that motif for those guys. For the good guys, they're red and black and like off-white eggshell. Again, but I wanted their livery to be a lot fancier, right? And instead of using a two-tone system like I am with the bad guys, I'm using three-tone system, and then they're going to have a lot more complex, clean-looking lines on them, right? So I wanted the sort of the Imperium to look fancier than the Chaos stuff did, right? They also don't have any of the spikes or chain or any of that. So yeah, so they're running. They also have like a brass for their metal instead of the like bright silver, or the like pseudo gold kind of color we used for the other ones. And then all of their energy bits are blue. Again, sort of like as the opposite of those guys who are blue based with red energy. These are red based with blue energy. So yeah, pretty bitchin'. Clearly still working on them. These guys are way harder to paint than the good guys are. Or the chaos guys, sorry. And so I'm doing a Warhound. And I've got my Warlord. So my goal for the first game is to have a Warlord and Reaver on one side, 2 Warhounds and a Reaver on the other. Right, so it means I only need to manage 5 models. I think that'll probably be doable by myself on this table. I think it should be pretty fun. So that's my goal for the first game. So this guy also has top weapons. He's got top machine guns. And he's got top rocket pods too. But yeah, that's what we're trying to get done. We're trying to get all that done for the game. Hopefully we'll do that this weekend. If not, we'll just nag it another weekend. It's not like it has to be this weekend or anything special. After the stream extravaganza, I'm trying to not set myself any goals for a while. Any like big like have to happen this weekend or whatever goals for a while. Because man, it took a ton out of me. I'm definitely still like recovering from it from sure. But I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna call it there. Thank you guys for watching. And oh, we forgot to look at our little building. Let's look at our little building. All right, so. Nice, beat up, kind of grungy looking factory building. She's still a little wet, but yeah. Not perfect, but you know, if you put like a bunch of these together, they'll look amazing on the table. Right? Like they'll look phenomenal. Then you put a bunch of them together on the table. But yeah, there we go. We'll go ahead and we'll call it there. Thank you guys for watching. And